Hallel is a Jewish prayer, a verbatim recitation from Psalms 113 to 118, which is used for praise and thanksgiving that is recited by observant Jews on Jewish holidays. Etymology: the Proto-Sinaitic and Proto-Canaanite letters H are reconstructed to have been called Hallel, jubilation, and were based on the hieroglyph. It was replaced by a predecessor of the Hebrew letter He. The same word is used in Arabic or holy days. Hallel consists of 6 psalms, which are recited as a unit, on joyous occasions. These occasions include the following: the 3 pilgrim festivals Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot, and Hanukkah and Rosh Chodesh. Many Jewish communities, especially those that identify with religious Zionism, recite Hallel on Yom Ha'atzmaut. Some also recite it on Yom Yerushalayim. On those occasions, Hallel is usually chanted aloud as part of Shacharit following the Shacharit's Shemini Esreh. Hallel is recited during the evening prayers on the first night of Passover, except by Lithuanian and German Jews, and by all communities during the Passover Seder service. According to the Talmud, there was a dispute between the school of Hillel and the school of Shammai regarding the reading of Hallel on Passover. According to the school of Shammai, only the first psalm should be read before the meal, whereas the school of Hillel advocated reading the first 2 psalms. The remaining psalms would be said after the grace after meals. Although Hallel generally refers only to the aforementioned psalms, the Talmud also refers to Psalm chapter 136 as the Great Hallel. Each verse of Psalm chapter 136 concludes with the refrain, "For his mercy endures forever," and it contains mention of 26 acts of divine kindness and sustenance for the world. It is recited at the Passover meal after the standard Hallel is completed. It is also said in the expanded Pesach de Zimra on the morning of Shabbat and festivals. In the Talmudic era, if rain fell on the morning of a fast day that was declared in response to a drought, this was seen as a sign of divine favor, in which case, the Great Hallel was added in the afternoon prayers. There is mention in some references that this psalm may also be used antiphonally in temple worship. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Hallel is not said at all, because as the Talmud states, "Is it seemly for the king to be sitting on his throne of judgment, with the books of life and death open before him, and for the people to sing joyful praises to him?" Pesach, like Sukkot, has the structure of main holiday, followed by intermediate days, followed by main holiday. Since Passover involved only a partial redemption of the Jews and the destruction of Egypt, and as the same sacrifice was offered in the temple on every day of the holiday, only half Hallel is recited on all of the last 6 days of Pesach. Full Hallel is recited for the entirety of Sukkot. Partial Hallel is recited on Rosh Chodesh because it was introduced at a much later time than the major holidays. No Hallel, neither full nor partial, is recited on Purim, despite the fact that there was a miraculous salvation, for several reasons. The miracle did not occur in the land of Israel, and for lesser holidays, only those occurring in Israel merit the recitation of Hallel. Even after the miracle of Purim, the Jews remained subjects of the Persian Empire, whereas on Hanukkah, as a result of the victory of the Maccabees, the Jews gained their independence from the Seleucid kings. Reading the Megillah as a substitute for Hallel. Full Hallel consists of all 6 psalms of the Hallel, in their entirety. It is a Jewish prayer recited on all 7 days of Sukkot, on Shemini Atzeret and Simchat Torah, on Shavuot, on the first 2 days of Pesach, and on the 8 days of Hanukkah. The sages have provided a siman, the days when full Hallel is recited. It is called Bibitich. Full Hallel consists of Psalm 113, Psalm 114, Psalm chapter 115 verses 1 to 11, 12 to 18, Psalm chapter 116 verses 1 to 11, 12 to 19, Psalm chapter 117, Psalm chapter 118. Psalm chapter 136 was most probably used antiphonally in temple worship. In Jewish liturgy, the Great Hallel is recited at the Passover meal after the Lesser Hallel. All through the refrain is a repeated reference to the Lord's steadfast love. See Hosea chapter 2 verse 19. This psalm is a hymn that opens with a call to praise God because of God's great deeds in nature and his gracious historical actions in the history of Israel. It continues expressing God's mercy toward all and ends with another call to praise God. Less than reference Ryrie Study Bible page 955. Greater than a blessing is recited at the beginning and end of full Hallel. Partial Hallel. Chatzi Hallel does not include parts of the full Hallel. The first 11 verses of Psalms 115 and 116 are omitted. It is recited on the last 6 days of Pesach and on Rosh Chodesh. While Ashkenazi Jews recite a blessing at the beginning and end of partial Hallel, some Sephardi Jews do not, particularly if the blessing they recite at the beginning of full Hallel is Ligmor a HaHallel instead of Likro a HaHallel as recited by Ashkenazi Jews. Musical settings. Psalms from the Hallel have been set to music many times, notably Psalm chapter 113 Josquin des Prez, Psalm chapter 115 Johann Sebastian Bach in Cantata BWV 196 Der Herr denket an uns, Psalm chapter 117 Antonio Vivaldi, Psalm chapter 118 Leonin Peratin. American composer and conductor Michael Isaacson has composed a full Hallel for SATB chorus entitled An American Hallel with interpolations of expressions of praise and gratitude by past and present Americans. It was premiered by the Carolina Master Chorale under the directorship of Tim Koch in the fall of 2009. Performer Sam Glazer has also set the Psalms on his new CD Hallel. Other Hallel sequences. The name Hallel is normally applied to Psalms 113 to 118. For greater specificity, this is sometimes called the Egyptian Hallel.